Hey guys, StarCraft here, and like I said on my tweet, in case you didn't see it, I'll say it right now. Well, I am changing my format. That's unfortunately going to make some of the real longer ones, like say Camelot 3000, a bit longer to do with the screenshot stuff. So I'm going to do a few shorter ones while I actually get the other stuff going. And so today I'm going to be talking about two one-shots that are basically similar crossovers. But of course, in this case, they were done a couple of years apart and kind of go in reverse chronological order, interestingly enough. And, well, I just find them most interesting. And that's Savage Dragon, Superman versus, and Savage Dragon. Both of them. But we'll be starting with this one first, since this came out first in 1998. The other one was by Erik Larsen. Please, guys, let's not get into anything with him. But this one here is by Karl Kesel and Kessel and John Bogdanove, Bogdanove, who are both mainstays of Superman. So seeing him write this and handle Savage Dragon should be an interesting treat. Now, like I said, I'm showing you off that to make it clear, I have a copy, but I'll be showing the scans next to me. So, yeah, let's get going, shall we? And 1 second. I'm back, sorry. Anyway, we open up with Superman in the middle of a fiery pit, which, if you don't know your Savage Dragon, is basically an origin very much like Savage Dragon's origin. As he wakes up in the middle of a hospital, and he kind of overreacts as he lifts up a doctor. But you have Maggie Sawyer and Dan Turpin of the Metropolis Special Crimes Unit, or SCU, there to try and tell him what's going on. Right there was also a fresh costume and everything. As basically they've been trying to figure out what's going on, and well, they give Superman the lowdown that he's been missing for quite a while, a good number of about 3 days. So yeah, everyone's been trying to figure out what the heck's going on, when all of a sudden, coming right through the walls is Savage Dragon fighting a bunch of goons. Yeah, basically there are two freelancers, one who seems to be able to shift around and react, like she's infrared, but she projects herself, which Superman, given how he can see infrared, is able to zap her and capture her, whereas then Savage takes the other guy out by, well, over-zapping it with a defibrillator. Then we see them all talking, meeting up, and Superman and Dragon seem to have a knowledge of each other. That's because this came out first. This takes place after this. This is their first meeting, but we'll get to that next time. But this one, like I said, it's called Metropolis. Set in Metropolis. This one's called Chicago, set in Chicago. So this is more Dragon coming there to Metropolis, and basically he's only helping out part time. He helps out the Chicago's Operation Strike Force part time. And he had to come when he heard what happened. Once he did, which Superman points out, that's right, you were found in a burning field. And so once he heard that, it's like, okay, something's up here. I'm gonna go find out what it is. And hold on a second. Sorry about that. As I said though, they both realized yeah, I don't know how I got there. Neither of us do. Maybe we can work it out. And besides, Savage Dragon's stepdaughter, Angel, is a big fan of his, which surprised Superman. And then once they're ready to figure things out, I love this. Which is why I think Dragon and I should look into this alone. Until we find out who we're dealing with, then we'll know how to best use the CSU. Then Dragon and the SOS, the JLA, maybe the CIA and FBI, and a few CPAs too. CPAs? Hey, I'll take all the help I can get. Yeah, and you'd say the same thing if you were the one always getting the snot beat out of you. They're ready to leave, but we see one guy in the back who looks demonic for a brief moment. As we then see Superman's back at the Daily Planet, and Savage is wearing a Metropolis SCU tank top because his normal shirt has gotten destroyed. And just to point out also for future reference, this is around the time when Lois and Clark are married. Keep that in mind. In fact, I think this is after the Electric Blue saga, so again, just keep that in mind. And it's basically, they're all reunited. And I love this bit with Jimmy here. You mean this is really the dragon from Chicago? I always thought he was, Dollar Dragon. And I always thought Superman's pal was, forget it. What were you thinking, Dragon? As they basically, and Lois, speaking on behalf of Clark, of course, says that he was doing an article before he took off. And then, of course, Jimmy starts to say, hey, and we haven't seen Clark since that night either. That means something's happened to him. To which Lois goes a bit loud saying, no, Jimmy, his mother's sick, and I think he's been also planning special weekend away for the two of us. Savage, she always talks this loud. Anyway, they decided to, they said, tell her to ask Lois for the password. She would know it. And she says, yeah, Smallville. Actually, I think Clark changed that password. Well, if he did, I know. After all, I'm not the one with amnesia. But if there's one thing I remember is Clark saying he told you his new password, then he must have said it one of the times he was running out the door. And then she pulls his ear and tucks him off. And I love how Dragon, you sure those two aren't married? Uh-oh. And then, meanwhile, in the storeroom, we see Lois glomping on. She's, of course, so relieved to know that he's all right. As, basically, but of course, points out that she was doing her own thing, trying to figure everything out. And, yeah, basically, she's like, they share notes and everything, and basically make it clear, yeah, she knows what she was getting into when they got married. You hear that, Bendis? And then they make it back and they find out that the new password was Mixius Pitalik. And it turns out Clark was working on an interesting series of murders that had a mysterious symbol on their chest. Which then they decide to head on out. But they decide to, because Dragon doesn't want to fly out, and he has his own wheels down below, they'll take the elevator. And he decides, I better go with you. And while they're going down, Dragon's again making some observations like, funny, still smell that perfume Lois Lane wears. Common sense, very popular, perhaps, and probably half the female reporters in the building are wearing it. And then he of course points out how, and Dragon points out, if a great thing with the press, if I was that friendly with in the Windy City media types, they'd dog me every second of my case. To which Superman says, they respect Clark, they won't send unless ordered to. To which we find out Barry White's ordering Jimmy and Lois to go out there. And of course they do. We then have Savage and Superman meet up with the Newsboy Legion, a group of characters that Jack Kirby had created, which are basically kid clones of scientists. And basically they ask him a few questions, and then they decide to pay him so they can get some answers. And then we have Bibbo Bibowski show up. My favorite supporting character, Superman, that was a post-crisis guy. Basically this dock worker, washed-up boxer, and also an owner of the Ace of Clubs tavern. And basically we have they talk to each other and points out how Savage used to work for the Chicago police. And then we see Bibbo basically just big as all thing. And I love how he has his arm wrapped around him, and the Dragon wants to rip his head off. And the fact is, he's shorter than Bibbo. You gotta remember, if you think about Jimmy's height, that makes sense, but it's always strange to remember that Bibbo is, and Savage is short. But then as they're trying to figure out some answers, all of a sudden, Bibbo goes in a trance and he tells them to look down in the subway station, because apparently there's some weird stuff. And as Savage and Superman head off, they, and basically Bibbo's all like, wait, what happened? They soon make their way down until they find some homeless guys. But once they see them, they come in and attack them. When all of a sudden, and I should have to point out, right before they attack, going back a page, we see this mysterious shadow. For a moment, we think it's Superman with his heat vision, but nope, it's some other bad guy who's attacking them. Meanwhile, then another person named Bully Boy jumps in, and well, they start plowing into them. We see some other guys, like the shadow guy's name is Lurker, and another guy named Runt. They're all trying to go for Superman as they attack, and I can't tell if this is if these are Savage's guys or just some made-up guys. But I do love this bit with Savage. Okay, big boy, see you next week, because that's what I'm punching you into the middle of. But doesn't do any good as they get tossed around until the guy tosses Superman off. Whoops. And then we find out who's leading him. Kilroy, son of Steppenwolf. So it's basically we have the New Gods and Apocalypse involved. Of course, as they head off, we see then Kilroy talking to one of the guys who basically, he explains everything, but then he's given death and killed. And it turns out he's the one responsible for all those scars. We then see that Superman and Dragon get up as Lois pulls up in the Humvee as they drive off as they're suddenly being chased by a big, huge tank right here, a vehicle. As basically, again, chase is given, and they're going right, no, not even chase, they're coming right towards them. But what happens? Superman grabs onto the truck and lifts on up. Yeah, like that. But then all of a sudden, Jimmy starts acting freakish as he grabs onto Superman. It turns out his name is Fiend, and I love it. Not completely, Superman. Maybe not even legally. After all, possession is 9/10 of the law. Okay, that's a funny joke. As all of a sudden a boom tube opens up. Next thing we know, we see Savage all chained up as he's surrounded by all these Furies and the female Fury. As he and Superman are both tied up. And basically once they realize, yep, they're stuck here on Apocalypse. It turns out they're listening, the female Furies are listening to Kilroy for a moment. But basically it looks like they were abducted to score points with the Furies, actually. Oh boy. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. But we then, Kilroy explains how they plan on using the Fiend, who appears to be it does appear to be a Dragon's enemy. That's the guy who possessed Jimmy. Basically saying that they have a future in store. He wants to rule Apocalypse because he was hoping his father, Steppenwolf, would have been given the throne, but Darkseid threw a wrench into that when he killed the parents and thus took the power for himself. Then we see Dragon gets his arm blasted off, but it's going to heal eventually. But then Fiend starts to attack, and it turns out he has a Hellgate, which is basically like a phone-like device that will send him right back once if they wanted to. So it's having Fiend under his control. And thus they go in and fight. Soon a bunch of the Furies and all the forces come in and attack them as basically they continue fighting them off until Superman starts to bring everything down. Then he helps Dragon up. And it's more like it's Superman doing the work at first until Calabac shows up right there. And then Superman and Dragon both take him off as Dragon gets a bit of an upgrade, taking a chunk of the remains. Then they go in to confront Kilroy. And then Fiend comes in and tackles Superman, and then Jimmy's unconscious for a moment, but it turns out Fiend jumped into Superman as basically the test run to see if he can possess him. You see Savage then continue to try and stop him, grabbing a chunk of wall and machinery, smashing it on him, punching him, but does no good as it knocks him aside. We then see that Kilroy's ready to use the Hellgate on the Fiend, but he zooms by, takes it, and then throws it right at takes it and catches it. We see him taunting him when all of a sudden Superman takes control for a brief moment, throws it, and Dragon grabs it and smashes it, turns out that's what was keeping him here, and it sends the Fiend right back. As then we soon see Darkseid show up. As basically Kilroy throws Fiend under the bus, saying it was all his doing, and basically they didn't know what they were doing when they accidentally conjured that horror. But once he appeared, they had no choice but to do as he wished. And basically he taunts them a bit and basically says, you try anything and you'll be as good as dead. And then what does he do? He then sends Superman and Dragon back to Metropolis. As Superman and Dragon shake hands a moment, Jimmy, he's butt naked, he has to borrow his cape, but then Savage asks for something, and we then see him talk to his daughter and says that, the bum wouldn't give me his autograph, kiddo, but I got something else that I think you'll like. I'm not telling. Suffice to say that you'll soon be able to leave that bathroom towel you keep tying around your neck in the bathroom. As it turns out, Superman gave him his cape. We then see Lois and Superman, or Clark, smooching and all that and talking, and it turns out he's taking the night off as Savage is sticking around for one night just to give him a chance. As we end with, I love this, Savage doing his own shout out to the Action Comic #1 cover. And that's the end. It's a lot of filler to be certain, but for a little fun romp of a crossover, especially since this is the first one, release-wise anyway, we get, it's not that bad. It does open a lot of questions like how do they know each other and interact with each other and all that. But again, that does come by. We'll get into next in the next video. But for now, it's serviceable. I love John Bogdanov's work. And again, Karl Kerschl really's got a handle on both characters. And the New Gods involved, well, of course. I mean, come on. If Savage Dragon was a nod to Kirby, you gotta have the New Gods involved in some extent. And yeah, for the most part, it was just a nice, simple romp. Nothing spectacular, but nothing bad either. So, since I'm releasing it out on Easter, have a happy Easter, everyone, and I'll catch you all on when I come back on the next one. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, who knows. See ya.